إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره وأعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Where's your notebook?
My phone.
2 marks minus 2 marks.
تسألنيش.
Where's your notebook?
تسألنيش
هو this guy I put him تحت الأمر الواقع صراحة. لكن bring out your phone for notes, okay?
إن شاء الله.
جزاكم الله خير. When I say bring it out, I mean bring it out. This guy gets 10 points.
Give me pictures of what you're making. خلاص.
Okay. No.
No? You said okay before.
No, I'm not okay with it.
There's a video. no.
Okay. Now we're going to get into sleeping. Does sleeping break your wudu or does it not invalidate your wudu? Okay. Now there is a bunch of opinions, 7 opinions to be exact. I'm gonna name all the opinions, then I'll get to the proofs. Okay? Opinion number 1. All sleep breaks your wudu, whether it's a light sleep or a deep sleep or no matter what position you're in. All sleep breaks your wudu. That's opinion number 1.
الشحن ما في شحن والله. That's why I was asking charger.
Oh, okay, خلاص.
أنا برسل لي إياها وجه برسل لي إياها.
لكن write whatever you like. Okay. Opinion number 2. Sleep does not break your wudu at all. No matter what type of position, no matter how long the sleep was. I named 2 opinions that are total opposites. Okay? Are you guys ready for the 3rd opinion? Did you write? I didn't see you write when I named opinion 2.
The 2 does not break wudu at all.
At all. No matter what position or how long the sleep was. And the first opinion was a total opposite. Now we get to opinion number 3. Oh, you guys want me to say who takes which opinion?
Yes, please.
So for opinion number 1, there's tabi'een that took the opinion like Imam Hassan al-Basri. And Ibn Mundhir took this opinion, which is Ibn Mundhir was a Shafi'i. It's not the Shafi'i opinion, but Ibn Mundhir took this opinion. He was one of the great Shawafi'. The opinion number 2, this was the opinion of Sa'id ibn Musayyib. Okay?
سعيد بن مسيب.
Yeah. Now we get to opinion number 3. This is the Hanafi opinion, which is sleeping while sitting down without leaning your back on anything where there's pressure. So you're not sitting down like this. You're sitting down like this and you sleep that way. Does not break your wudu no matter how long the wudu is. And no matter how long the sleep is. It does not break your wudu. If you're sleeping and you're sitting down like this, no matter how long, if you slept all night, you slept 2 days, does not matter, does not break your wudu. This is the Hanafi madhab. Okay? Okay. Now we get to opinion number 4. If you're sitting or standing and you have a light sleep, like not really sleep, you kind of still can tell what's around you. An example that like I've seen shuyukh give is, say right now you're in the lesson and you start falling asleep like Anas is, you know, he's like falling asleep, then I tell him, hey Anas, then he kind of like, wakes up, and I tell him where were we at, he can kind of like catch up. This type of sleep, if you sleep this type of sleep or it's very light like this, if you're sitting or standing and you sleep that type of sleep in these 2 positions, then it does not break your wudu. This does not break your wudu. But if you sleep in a different way, where you're laying down or a different position than sitting or standing, okay, even if it's light, it breaks your wudu. But when you're sitting or standing and you sleep the type of sleep that is very light, not long, then it's okay. But if you sleep long in those positions, then it still breaks your wudu. Okay? Meaning if you're sitting down or standing up and you sleep a very light sleep, this does not break your wudu. Everything else breaks your wudu. Light or long, everything else. Okay? And this is the Hanbali opinion, which is the opinion of the book the madhab that we're taking. Okay? So sitting or standing with light sleep does not break your wudu. Everything else breaks your wudu. This was opinion number 4. Are you guys ready for the next opinion?
Yes.
Okay, opinion number 5 is the opinion of the Maliki madhab. Okay, which is a deep sleep breaks your wudu. A light sleep does not break your wudu, no matter what position. You could be laying down, standing up, whatever, sitting down, doesn't matter the position. A light sleep does not break the wudu. A deep sleep breaks the wudu. Then the Malikis, they get really deep on what it means to have a deep sleep. The Hanabila don't like to get into the exact meaning if there's no type of proof behind it, but they like to do it. So they say, like, if you're sleeping like this and your head leans, this is a deep sleep. If you're holding something, then you let it go, and this is a deep sleep, and stuff like this. But point is, a light sleep does not break the wudu. A deep sleep breaks the wudu. Does not matter the position. This is the Maliki madhab. Then the Shafi'i madhab, as you guys, if any of you ever studied Shafi'i madhab, they always have an old view and a new view. Not always, but generally a lot of the masail, they have an old view and a new view. The old view is before Imam Shafi'i started traveling, and that was his older view. Then the new view is after he started traveling. And they take both to be valid. Both are the madhab. Okay, it's not like when he changes his opinion, it's the madhab. No, you still have to look at the proof. Maybe his newer view is wrong. You understand what I'm trying to say? So they take both views into account. So the old view of the Shafi'i madhab is if you sleep in the middle of the prayer, no matter what position, it does not break the wudu. If you're in the middle of prayer, you slept, sujood, whatever, does not break your wudu. The new view is, yes, it breaks your wudu. But the new view, the Shafi'is, they like to say, this is opinion 6 and opinion 7, by the way, okay? Opinion, the new view of the Shafi'is is if you're not laying down.
So this is opinion 6, right?
Opinion 6 is the old view.
Old view.
So if you're in the middle of salah, it doesn't matter the position. But outside of salah, it breaks your wudu. Okay? Opinion 7 is if you're not laying down, okay, and you're not sleeping on your side or leaning on something, then your wudu breaks. But this is because it's easy to pass wind in these positions. Okay? But if you're in a position where it's hard to pass wind, it's hard to fart, you have to like push it out. If you're in a position where it's hard, you have to push it out, then it doesn't break your wudu no matter what, the sleep. And this is because they don't believe that wudu breaks your wudu, sleeping breaks your wudu. They believe that passing wind during sleep breaks your wudu. Okay? Yeah. So they say if you're in a position where you have to push it out, then your wudu is not broken. If you're in a position where it's easy for wind to come out, then your wudu is broken. Okay? Yeah. Because they don't take the opinion that sleeping itself breaks your wudu. Okay?
It's like a condition.
Yes. But I don't agree due to multiple things. We'll get to that later. But this is all the views that we gave, right? Now we're going to get into the adillah. Okay. And now the whole fiqh behind this has a lot of weak hadiths. So many weak hadiths that people like to use as proof. I'm going to skip all of that. There is one hadith that's debatable. I take the opinion that it's weak, so I'm also going to skip it. I'm going to get to what's authentic, which is 3 hadiths. Like undebatably authentic, there's 3 hadiths, okay? I'm gonna mention all three of them, then we'll get to everything, okay? First of all, you guys remember earlier when, actually none of you were there, okay? When we talked about the invalidators of wudu, that we mentioned the hadith, it's authentic, where the Prophet Muhammad said, you can wipe on the sock, you should wipe on the sock, meaning it breaks your wudu, because you wipe on the sock when it breaks your wudu, you should wipe on the khuf. In 3 situations, there's more situations, but those 3 situations are included, okay, that are mentioned in the hadith, is if El-gharably, which is if you poop, and El-bawl, if you pee, and if you sleep. Meaning what? The asl is that sleeping breaks the wudu. Okay, now we're going to get into when and how and which position, we'll get to that later. But generally, sleeping, the asl is it breaks the wudu. Because he mentioned it with peeing, he mentioned it with pooping, and he mentioned that you should wipe on the sock after. Okay? And we mentioned this hadith the last lesson, so I didn't read it again. I have to find it unless one of you wrote it down. It's going to take me a while to get it. Yes. So this hadith was reported by Safwan ibn Assal about you should wipe on the sock when you poop, pee, or sleep, meaning they all break the wudu. And this was mentioned by Safwan ibn Assal, and it was recorded in Musnad Imam Ahmad and graded to be Sahih by Ibn Mulaqqan, where he graded it in his book Al-Badr al-Munir. So there's a book by Al-Badr al-Munir, his name is Ibn Mulaqqan, and he graded this hadith to be Sahih, and it was first reported by Musnad Imam Ahmad, and the Sahabi is Safwan ibn Assal that mentioned that the Prophet Muhammad said this. Okay? Clear? You should wipe on the sock when you poop, pee, or sleep. What does that mean? That sleeping breaks the wudu, just like these two break the wudu, because you only wipe on the sock when you break the wudu. You're not going to do ghusl and wipe on the sock. You got to take off the sock and make ghusl. So what does that mean? This is hadith al-asghar. This is the type of hadith that makes you need wudu. Okay? Clear? So the asl is sleeping breaks the wudu. Okay, but now we're going to get into how and what positions in all of this right now. Okay? Okay, now we get into the second hadith that we're going to speak about, which is, actually, I'm going to mention this last, because there's another hadith that needs explanation with this hadith. Okay. Both the first and second hadith seem like total opposites, then the third hadith is going to explain both of them. It's going to give you the connection between both of these. Okay? So this is reported in Bukhari by Qatada. Qatada, okay. He said, I heard from Anas ibn Malik. By the way, Qatada is, a lot of people call him mudallis, meaning he does an'ana, oh, this person said, but he doesn't say I heard. This time he said I heard. It was reported by Bukhari. And also there was a tabi'i that talked to Qatada And he asked him, did you hear this from Anas ibn Malik? In a different narration, he said, yes, I heard this. Meaning this has no tadlis. This narration has no tadlis. So nobody can talk about it and be like, oh, mudallis, it's weak. This one has no tadlis. Okay? Qatada said, I heard from Anas ibn Malik, the Sahaba, meaning the Prophet Muhammad's friends, they used to sleep and pray without making wudu. Clear. And this is in Bukhari. So now these seem like total opposites. We're going to get to the third hadith, which is going to explain the connection, inshallah. Okay? There's other narrations that people like to take from this, because this person, Qatada, he had many students. Many students. Most of them, and his top students, the people that were known to be his students, meaning they were with him from the beginning to the end, type of thing, all of them reported it in this way. This is the wording, that the Sahaba used to sleep, then pray without making wudu. Now there's other people that were technically his students. There's a few of them, like 2 or 3, that reported it in a different way, but they were not known to be his students. They were not his top students. And because he had so many students that most of them reported it this way, then a few of them reported it in a different way. This shows that this is shadh. This has a hidden defect. So it's a weak. They would be considered weak because there's a defect in the text. Okay, a hidden defect, even though there's no defect in the chain. Okay, like some of them say they would sleep until their head goes down. Some of them would say they would sleep on their sides. All of these are weak. They're shadh. The correct one is they would sleep. It does not specify the type of sleep. Then they would get up and make wudu. It doesn't specify the type of sleep. It doesn't specify how long. It doesn't specify the position. And we already know from another hadith that sleeping breaks your wudu. From the Prophet ﷺ, marfu'an. Okay? Meaning, either the Sahaba were all going against the word of the Rasul ﷺ, or there has to be some type of hadith that connects them both together. What makes sense? There's probably another hadith that connects them both together. Alright? That explains the type of sleep. Which is why most ulama took the opinion that there has to be that sleep breaks the wudu, but it has to be a type of sleep, right? So now we're going to get to the hadith that explains the type of sleep. Okay, this is the hadith that the ulama take most of the fiqh from. Okay, there's a hadith reported by Ibn Assal. It's the hadith of delaying the Isha. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he used to lead the prayer in the masjid. One time he was late for Isha. Okay, he delayed Isha. And the Sahaba, they were there waiting for him. They were waiting for the Prophet ﷺ. And the hadith says they were sitting, waiting for the Prophet. They were sitting. That was the position. And in some narration, in some riwayat says some of them were also standing. Some of them were standing and some of them were sitting. Okay? And so this are the two positions, first of all. Okay? Some were standing, some were sitting. And they were waiting until they were falling asleep. Or until they fell asleep. Okay? Then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, then he came. Then they all got up and they started praying without making wudu. Okay? So this hadith is used to explain what type of sleep. What type of sleep it was talking about. The one that says they slept and they sleep and they got up. And the Prophet Muhammad said sleeping breaks your wudu. So this is the general. This is specifying the type of sleep. First of all, the Prophet ﷺ was in Aisha's room. And Aisha's room was pretty much connected to the masjid. So he was right there. He was close. He wasn't far away. So when he delayed the prayer, of course he's not going to delay it for like 5 hours and they all slept the whole night. You know, there was probably a little delay. It doesn't make sense that it was a long delay, like 2-3 hours. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because first of all, he was close. Second, there's not that much time. Because the correct opinion is, we'll get to it later, okay? But pretty much it's not like a type, look, they were all there asleep, laying down on the ground. None of the hadith says they were laying down. Some of them were standing still. Some of them were standing, some of them were sitting. Does that mean he left a long time? No. He didn't delay a long time. So it was a little sleep, and they were sitting, and some were standing and falling asleep. Then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came in, then they all got up and prayed. This was recorded in Sahih Muslim. Okay, so it's authentic, no doubt. So now, based on these hadiths, I'm not going to get into all the weak hadiths and about the one that is debatable. I'm going to talk about just the ones that are clear, authentic. We don't need to get into the ones that are debatable. Okay? This hadith explains the rest. So now you got all the opinions. If you want to look at them again, all the opinions except the first two, this explains them. Because now let's look at it. All sleep breaks the wudu, no matter the position or how long. Does that make sense? When you look at these hadiths? Because the Prophet Muhammad said sleeping breaks your wudu, and that you should wipe on the sock if you sleep. Okay? Now we get to opinion number 2. Sleep does not break your wudu no matter what position.
Don't agree with it.
Doesn't make sense, right? Okay, we move on to the next opinion. The next opinion is sleeping while sitting down, no matter how long, does not break the wudu. No matter how long. Now they didn't look at the length. They didn't even talk about the Sahaba that were standing up and falling asleep. They only talked about the ones sitting down. And they didn't look about the length. They only thought of the position and one of them, not even both of them. Does that make sense? Not really. Okay, we move on to the next one. If you're sitting or standing,
Light sleep.
and it's a light sleep, not the long sleep, this does not break your wudu. This is exactly like the hadith. Exactly like the hadith. They didn't go into interpretation, maybe this and maybe that. Let's look at the next one. Sleeping light, not deep sleep, doesn't matter the position. So why does the hadith specify the position? That they were sitting down and some of them were standing up. Why didn't it say they were just falling asleep? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
This one might be right, might be wrong.
5?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is number 5 might be right, might be wrong. But if you stick to the way the Sahaba slept, you could never be wrong. You're in the same position, you're in the same length.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
This one could be right, could be wrong. So we're not going to go based off shak. You get what I'm trying to say? Then you get to the Shafi'i opinion. I don't know why they're talking. The number 6, I don't even know why sleeping in the prayer is mentioned in the first place, to be honest. And when it comes to the second opinion about it depends on if you're in a position that you could let out wind easily or not. They're taking the opinion that sleeping doesn't break your wudu in the first place. It's about letting wind or not letting wind. But the hadith talks about sleep, right? That you should wipe on the sock if you sleep.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention if you fart when you sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So why are they assuming that sleeping itself doesn't break the wudu? So to me, the Hanbali opinion makes sense. Wallahu a'lam. For you guys, you could take whatever opinion you like. You have all the opinions. You have the adilla that are authentic. Okay, I didn't talk about the ones that were debatable. I mentioned the hadiths that were authentic for sure. Okay. I think we're done with sleeping for now. Now we're going to get into the next parts. Okay. The next mas'ala is if someone touches their private parts, does it break the wudu or not? If you touch your private part, and what we mean by the private part is the front and back.
Yeah.
On the exact spot, not on your thigh right here. No one says this breaks your wudu. Talk about on the front or back. Okay. If you touch your private back side, does it private part? Does that break your wudu or does it not break your wudu? And by the way, by touching, I don't mean you're walking, then your thing touches your thigh. It doesn't make sense. All right. We mean if you touch it with your hand, front or back. Okay. 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 Now we're going to get into a few opinions, then we'll talk about the adilla after, okay? Opinion number 1. If you if you touch the private part with the inside of the hand, meaning where the palm is, from here, not from the back, okay? So from here, the front, not the back, okay? If you touch your private part, it breaks the wudu, but if it's with the back of the hand, it does not break your wudu. Okay, so opinion number 1. And now we'll get to opinion number 2. If you guys are ready. Did you write it down?
I'm still not تقول لي.
Can you repeat the first
But
one?
like
Just repeat it.
Opinion number 1, if you touch the private part with the front, the inside of the hand, not the back,
Not the
it
back.
breaks your wudu.
Breaks.
But the back does not break your wudu.
Okay.
كم من opinion فيه؟
Four.
حديث is clear, man.
No, you'll be surprised.
Bro, حديث is like there's two. Okay.
But let me get to
Go,
it.
go.
Don't worry, we're gonna get to it. You'll be surprised. Maybe there's a hadith you don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Opinion number 2. And it's also okay. Whatever. Yeah. Touching the private part. Opinion number 2. Touching the private part does not break the wudu at all. At all. Okay. Touching the private part does not break your wudu at all. No matter front or back or whatever. Okay. With the front of your hand, the back of your hand, doesn't matter. It does not break your wudu. And if you're wondering, this is the Hanafi opinion, but either way. Okay. Okay, opinion number 3. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Opinion number 3. If you touch the private part with desire, meaning there's a shahwa in there, you want to, then it breaks your wudu. But if it's not with desire, it does not break your wudu. It's the opinion of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and other ulama. Okay. And opinion number 4. If you touch the private part, it breaks the wudu with the front or back hand. With the front or the back of the hand, doesn't matter. If you touch your private part, it breaks your wudu. It doesn't matter if it's with desire or not desire. Okay, so with both the front and back, breaks your wudu. It doesn't matter if you have desire or not. This is the opinion of the madhab. Okay, it's the opinion of the Hanbali madhab. Okay. Okay. It's gonna seem like this contradicting hadiths again, so bear with me, okay? There is a hadith of Bushra bint Safwan. There are different riwayat, okay? But the hadith is long, and in the end, okay, the hadith is long, but in the end, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man masaha dhakarahu falyatawadda." Whoever touches the private parts,
من مسة.
من مسة صح؟
massa, صح. من massa dhakarahu falyatawadda. Whoever touches the private part should perform wudu. The hadith has a different riwayah that says it says a word. You guys wouldn't even know the word. I don't even know the word, but pretty much the meaning of the word can encompass both the front and back for men or women.
إيش الكلمة عندك؟
فرجوا ولا إيش زي كذا؟
الفرج؟
فرج
الفرق؟
فرجوا ولا فرج شيء زي كذا. المهم the sheikh that mentioned the word said that this word would include men and women front and back. I don't know the exact.
الفرج هو الفرج يعني
الذكر يعني for the man and the private part for the woman. So it's
Yes.
if you just touch it, right?
Yes.
So this is the hadith. It said.
Whoever touches it should perform wudu. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. This was recorded in Musnad Imam Ahmad and Abu Dawood and by Tirmidhi and by Ibn Majah and Al-Nasa'i. Okay. And it was authenticated by Ibn Mulaqqan and Al-Badr al-Munir and Sheikh Albani authenticated it. Sheikh Albani authenticated a few of the narrations, not all. Okay? And it has supporting evidence from many different hadiths. Okay? Do you guys want me to mention the books again? Because I went off quickly. It was reported in Musnad Imam Ahmad.
Yeah.
You got that? Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Nisa'i, or Abu Dawood. It was mentioned. It was recorded. This hadith was recorded in all these books. Okay. You want me to go to who authenticated it? It was authenticated by Ibn Mulaqqan and Badr al-Munir. And al-Badr al-Munir. Okay.
Slipping. Maybe you're leaning up too much. lean this.
And it was also authentic. And Sheikh Albani also authenticated a bunch of the narrations from it. A few of the riwayat he authenticated them. Okay, and now I'm gonna mention the supporting evidences. This hadith has supporting evidences that go back to 10 different sahabas that mention the same thing. Some of the, 10 different sahabas mention the same meaning. Meaning if you touch your private part, you should make wudu. Okay? I'm gonna mention the name of the 10 sahabas, and you can go back and search for these on your own. Okay? Okay. It was with the same meaning. Umar ibn Khattab mentioned it. Abdullah ibn Umar mentioned it. Anas ibn Malik mentioned it. Ibn Abbas mentioned it. Abu Huraira mentioned it. Abu Huraira. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas mentioned it. Aisha mentioned it. Jabir mentioned it. In the same hadith we were just looking at, Bushra bint Safwan reported it. So this is how many? 10 different sahabas.
على أي حديث بس الأول واحد, the first one or the second one he said?
I only mentioned one. About if you touch the private part. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. And this hadith has different riwayat. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Okay. So this hadith is authentic without a doubt. 10 different supporting narrations from different sahabas, and that alone, the hadith alone was already authentic. Okay? So there's no doubt about this hadith. Okay? And about the meaning in this hadith. There's no doubt. Okay? So why do the Hanafis go against it? And they say it doesn't matter if you touch your private part, front, back, this side does not break your wudu.
With shahwa or without?
No, they didn't mention shahwa or not. Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah mentioned shahwa, desire. They mentioned doesn't matter desire or no desire, you touched it, does not break your wudu. It's a Hanafi opinion. Why do they go against it? You think they just go against it for no reason? No, they have authentic hadith also. Okay, so let's talk about it, right? There's a Sahabi which came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he asked him, if someone touches their private part, should they make wudu? Okay? The Prophet ﷺ said, it's just a part of your body. So why would you make wudu? It's authentic. It's an authentic hadith. It's not a weak hadith. So now, we have a dilemma. What's going on? Is it this or is it that? Is one weak? Is one shad? No.
Both are authentic.
Both are authentic.
But there is tafsil.
We'll get to it, okay? I just want to make it clear. Like when he thought, oh no, it's just like the hadith is clear. Well, yeah, both of the hadiths are clear.
But there's another clear hadith.
Both of the hadiths are clear, okay? Both the hadiths are very clear. Okay, so I just want to make it clear that no, don't think fiqh is easy like this, okay? Okay, first of all, this hadith, yes, is authentic, but the other hadith has narrations that are larger in number. Because why? Because there are 10 supporting sahabis. Okay? So the other hadith is more authentic, even though this one is already authentic. But the other one is more authentic, no doubt. That's number one. I just want to mention this. Another thing, the wording of the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said it's just a part of your body shows that this hadith was mentioned at a time where the ruling of it, okay, where the ruling of the ruling of the first hadith didn't come down yet. Because if this hadith came after the other hadith, then the other hadith will tell you, oh yeah, before it was permissible, but now it's not.
Like the khamr.
Yes,
Yeah.
or before it was not permissible, and now it's permissible. But no, he said it's just a part of your body. So it seemed like the other ruling never came down yet. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's number one, okay? I'm gonna get to it still, okay? The wording seems like the other one came after and this one came first. Meaning it's just a part of your body that came first, okay? Because the other hadith was very specific about the issue, and this is why Ibn Qutayban and Imam Ahmad and Ibn Mulaqin and others found this to be an issue of nasikh and mansukh. You know what that means? Okay, so in Islam there are old rulings and new rulings. Like in the beginning, alcohol was not haram in the Quran, okay? But Allah in the Quran discouraged it and said that don't come to prayer when you're drunk. So before, you can drink, but not when you go to pray.
Yes.
Then later Allah said, okay, now you can't drink. Okay, now you can't drink. Because later, a verse that later came down, Allah mentioned that alcohol it's from the shaitan and it's done. You don't drink anymore. Okay? So it became, later on, no, all the time you can't drink. And there's many things like this where Islam would come bit by bit. Because Prophet Muhammad was a prophet for 23 years, right? So there's old rulings and new rulings because Allah didn't want to make it really hard for people to become Muslim and right away you have to change your whole life, right? So the rulings came down bit by bit, okay? So a lot of Imams took the opinion that the other one was an old ruling about touching your private parts is just a part of your body, it doesn't break your wudu, is an old ruling. Then the one that came later on was the second hadith. This came later on in time, where now it breaks your wudu. Before it does not break your wudu, now it breaks your wudu. This was the opinion of Imam Ahmad, okay, which is the Imam of the Madhab. Okay? 1 second. This is not the only proof, by the way. Not just the wording is the only proof. We're going to get to the issue, okay? And they proved that this was an issue of nasikh and mansukh. They proved that this is an issue, that this is an older hadith and the first one is a newer hadith. They proved this, okay, from the Sahaba that reported it. The Sahaba that reported the hadiths, showing that the hadith of, like the other hadith about the first hadith, this one about just a part of your body, came from older Sahaba. And the other one came from newer Sahaba that became Muslim later on. Not all, but a lot of them became Muslim later on, or they were young Sahabas, or there were Sahabas that lived longer. And because of that, this shows that the Sahaba that reported it were older Sahaba, meaning they heard the first ruling. And the other Sahaba heard the second ruling. The later Sahabas.
So they took it from the 10 Sahaba.
Yes. So the Sahabas that reported it themselves show that this was a newer ruling and there's an older ruling. Okay, looking at who reported which hadith. Okay, also the wording shows the same thing, which is why the Hanabila took the opinion that there was an older ruling that touching the private part, just a part of your body, and it does not break your wudu, is an older ruling. Then later on, the new ruling came down, and now if you touch the private part, it breaks your wudu no matter which way. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now let's look at the two hadiths and look at the opinions again. You guys know the both hadiths. Let's see the opinions again. Okay. Opinion number 1: if you touch it with the inside of the palm and not the outside, it breaks your wudu. Okay. But the other ones, the Hanbali opinion is if you touch it with the front or back, it breaks your wudu. Okay. Now, why do some say with the inside of the hand and the outside? Which one is correct? Now, if you look at books of the Arabic language, like Lisan al-Arab and other books, they mention touching. When you touch something, it's with the front and back of the hand.
Yeah.
So linguistically, if you want to look at the hadith linguistically, it would be with both. Okay, which is why the opinion that I take is with both. Okay. Now, the opinion that said touching the private part does not break your wudu at all. They have nothing to say about the hadith that says the first hadith, which says it breaks your wudu. They don't even say nasikh or mansukh. They don't say anything. They just ignore it, even though it's more authentic. And it has more, you get what I'm trying to say? Even though they're both authentic, it's more authentic. Okay, so then we already mentioned. Then what about the one if you touch it with desire, it breaks your wudu? If you don't, this is the A'imma, they were trying to explain put both hadiths together. So okay, so one, I said it's just a part of your body. It probably just means that it's not with desire, and the other one means it's with desire. Yeah. But then you added the word desire into it. You understand what I'm trying to say? You added the word desire into it. None of the hadiths mention desire or not desire.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other hadith says it's just a part. And the other hadith says it's just a part of your body. It doesn't even sound like something that has to do with desire.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So because of that, I take the opinion that it's nasikh and mansukh. It's an issue of nasikh and mansukh.
Yeah.
And the old hadith is abrogated, and the new hadith is clear that now when you touch your private part, it breaks your wudu, with the front or back, because now we get to the linguistic. Okay. Okay. Bismillah. Okay, there's a lot in this book, by the way. I'm telling you right now, I'm skipping like most of this mas'ala, but I'm just gonna mention it briefly, just so you guys know that these issues are there that you probably never need to hear. But I'm gonna mention them just for you to know how much the scholars go in depth. What about a khuntha? You know what a khuntha is?
The man and woman, the private part is like...
There's people that are born with both private parts. They're not transgender.
Yeah.
They're literally born with
biologically
a penis and a vagina at the same time. I don't know what they're called in English.
I think intergender, something like this.
Yeah. Intersex, something like that, right? Yeah. Either way, those people are born with both genitals. Okay. Generally, actually, they always have a dominant they always have a dominant genital. So sometimes the woman part is more dominant, and sometimes the man part is more dominant. Yeah. And depending on which part is more dominant, that's what they are in all the ahkam. It says what they are in all the rulings of the Sharia. So if their woman part is more dominant, then they wear hijab and they're considered women fully. And if their man part is more dominant, then they're a man. Okay? Just to be clear, right? Then the scholars debated on how do you know which one is more dominant? Is it which one you pee out of? Is it this, is that? I'm not going to get too much into all of this, okay? Now we can just check your chromosomes. So now it's a lot easier. But
the hormones, all these things.
Yeah, because sometimes it was hard to tell.
Yeah.
Some people it's hard to tell which one is more dominant, okay?
Maybe in the past was harder than now.
But yeah. Either way, if they touch the dominant genital, that breaks the wudu. And if they touch the not dominant genital, then it does not break the wudu because it's not considered the genital. It's just there hanging.
So they have two options,
Yes. So if you touch your dominant genital for a khuntha, then it breaks your wudu. If it does not, then it does not break your wudu. This is how it is for the intersex people. There's a lot more when it comes to this issue. I'm just gonna skip. I'm just letting you know that these things are there. I'm skipping. Yeah. You wanna look into it more, read the book. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna get into the last thing we're gonna talk about today, which is a man touching a woman or a woman touching a man, does that break the wudu? Does touching the opposite gender, about like a woman or whatever, does that break the wudu or no? Okay. Opinion number 1, it does not break the wudu at all. This is a Hanafi opinion. It does not break the wudu at all. Okay, I'm gonna get into the opinions, then I'll get into the proofs again. Okay. Opinion number 2. Opinion number 2 is it always breaks the wudu, whether it's with desire or no desire. If you touch the woman, it breaks the wudu. Or if a woman touches a man, it breaks the wudu.
For both.
For both. Okay? No. If you're being touched, it does not break the wudu. If you're touching, it breaks the wudu. Okay? We're going to get into this later. Okay? But either way, when you touch the opposite gender, it breaks your wudu. If you're a woman touching a man, it breaks your wudu. If you're a man touching a woman, it breaks your wudu. Even if it's your sister. Even if it's
my sister.
This is a Shafi'i madhab. Doesn't matter who touched your mom, whatever, it breaks the wudu, unless she's like a young girl.
So because you mentioned with desire or not. So
This doesn't have desire in it. Doesn't matter if there's desire or no desire, it does not matter.
General.
Even if you touch it, no desire, you just touch
this
it.
is the
Like
third opinion?
it says the second opinion, the Shafi'i opinion.
Mm.
Okay? Then the third opinion is if you touch the woman or the woman touches the man without desire,
Without desire.
it does not break the wudu. And if it's with desire, it breaks the wudu. Okay? And this is the opinion of the madhab. Okay? Okay. Let's get into it. You guys wrote it down? Tell me the 3 opinions.
Or me?
Tell me the 3 opinions, yeah.
If you touch opposite gender, it will break wudu.
Wait, this opinion number 1, 2, or 3?
No, it's the second one, I guess.
Okay, if you touch the opposite gender, it breaks your wudu always.
Yeah.
What's the first opinion?
The first,
No, at all.
What's it? I want to make sure he wrote it down.
because I wrote it like the intersex one.
No, this is about a different thing.
Those one?
And there's also one more opinion.
So the first
If you
opinion for
touch,
which madhab?
it does not break your wudu no matter what.
First opinion, which madhab?
First opinion is Hanafi. Second is Shafi'i.
No matter.
And third is the, what's it called? Hanbali
Hanbali?
and Maliki, inshallah.
It says it doesn't break the wudu at all.
What?
The first one.
The first one does not break the wudu at all. Okay? First opinion does not break the wudu at all. It says it doesn't break the wudu at all. Okay? Okay. Okay, and now we're going to get into it. Let me know when you guys are ready.
Ready to leave?
Okay. Okay. Proof number 1. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Proof number 1. The Prophet ﷺ, this is in Bukhari. Okay, I think I have the hadith screenshotted because I didn't write it down. Give me 1 second. Yes. The Prophet ﷺ, so Aisha radiallahu anha said, I used to sleep in front of the Messenger of Allah with my legs opposite to his qibla facing him, because her room was very, very small. So they could barely sit and pray. Like if there's 2 people, it's really hard. Okay? So her legs was the opposite of the qibla facing him. And whenever he went to make sujood, he pushed, she said so Aisha speaking said that whenever he went to make sujood, he pushed my feet and I withdrew them. So he would touch her feet and she would withdrew her feet. Then when he got up, she would bring her feet back up. Okay? And this, then she added, in those days there were no lamps or whatever. Meaning they didn't have anything for light. It was dark. Okay?
Yeah.
So she couldn't go out.
The house was just by Masjid al-Nabi, right? Inside the.
Yes. It wasn't inside at the time.
Yeah.
But then they
Now-
kept
now-
expanding it.
Nowadays.
Yes. So what do we say? That he touched her. Point is, he touched her. He touched her feet, then she would pull them back. Meaning what? Him touching her
Does not.
did not break her
Did
wudu.
not break the wudu.
Did not break his
Yeah.
wudu because he kept praying. He continued his prayer. Alright?
So that's proof for the first opinion.
That's proof for the first opinion that does not break your wudu. But again, this hadith is in Bukhari, by the way.
Yeah.
It's in Bukhari. But does this hadith speak about desire? Does this have desire in it?
No.
No. Then the Hanafis, they also mention another hadith which shows desire, which is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very famous hadith. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam kissed his wife, then he went out and he prayed. This hadith is weak. To be clear, it's weak. Okay, if you can find me any strong narration from it, find it. It's famous, it's weak. So even if they want to mention with desire, this has desire in it because he kissed his wife, no, because it's weak anyways. It's not used as proof.
Yeah.
So we can just move on from this, okay? We know clearly he touched her, it's authentic, but without desire, it did not break the wudu. It did not break his wudu, okay? And there's other hadiths, I didn't want to mention them, but there's another hadith where it was dark and Aisha couldn't see anything, and then she reached out her hand and she touched his feet. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And he continued his prayer. It's also authentic. I didn't mention it and reference it because either way the first hadith shows the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So it doesn't really matter, right? Now, the opinion that said if you touch a woman without desire, it breaks your wudu, and if you, or with desire, it doesn't matter. What's their proof? You know, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, it says, لَمَسْتُمِ النِّسَاء, right? It talks about if you touch the woman, right, that it breaks your wudu, right? This was in right after the ayah of wudu, about you should wash your hands and your arms up to the marafiq and your face, and what you guys know the ayah, of course. And later in the ayah, when it talks about the things that break the wudu, and it mentions a bunch of things that breaks the wudu, and it mentions لَمَسْتُمِ النِّسَاء, if you touch the woman. First of all, النساء, do you call a young lady a nisa, a young woman, like a girl?
No.
You don't call a little girl nisa. Nisa is for what? The woman, like the woman, right? The ones that reach puberty and everything, right? That's number one. So we need to be clear about who we're talking about, okay? And they mention this ayah, that this shows that if you touch the woman, it breaks the wudu. So what about the hadith of Aisha, when the Prophet Muhammad touched her feet, then he continued his prayer?
Yeah.
Okay, so now does this ayah contradict the first hadith that we mentioned that was authentic? It looks like. This is why you should see the tafsir of this ayah. Then there's a lot of most of the mufassirin, okay, that mentioned the other hadith, and also some of the people that did tafsir on this were sahabas. They mentioned that this ayah, when it says لَمَسْتُمِ النِّسَاء, is talking about with desire. Some of the Sahaba explain this hadith, this ayah this way, and almost all the Mufassirin explain the ayah this way.
So maybe the lamastum is not just touching. Lamastum maybe is also jima', right?
Yes, but the correct thing is the ayah says lamastum.
Yeah.
Because there's other ayat that talks about
Jima'.
yeah, like janaba, and talks about this that, which is clear about sleeping. But this ayah is not clear about your sleeping with the woman. This ayah says touching. Okay? So if you're talking about touching, and the Prophet Muhammad touched his wife without desire, then this shows that it's touching with desire, exactly what the Sahaba explained it. So, the third opinion that says if you touch the woman with desire, it breaks the wudu. But if it's without desire, it does not break the wudu, makes it clear that this is the correct opinion, for me at least. Okay? That's the opinion that I take. You can take whatever opinion you like. Also, on top of this, there is 6 instances where the touching with the woman with desire does not break the wudu, but touching that breaks the wudu, but touching without desire breaks the wudu. I'm not gonna mention most of them because a lot of them are very obvious. Like, yes, the ayah doesn't mention like young ladies, but anybody that touches a young lady with desire, like I don't know about you, so I'm not gonna mention this, even though it does not break the wudu. I don't need to mention this, right? Because if you have a fitrah, you wouldn't do it. But there's one of them that I'm going to mention is about if you get touched. If you get touched, it does not break your wudu. What's my proof? The ayah says lamastum. If you touch.
Is it lamastum or lamastum?
لمستم النساء.
Really? Lamastum?
لمستم. Right? It says إذا لمست. Right? Or it doesn't say if you got touched. So because of that, if you got touched by a woman, even if it caused desire, does not break the wudu. But if you touch the woman, if you're the one that touched it, then it breaks your wudu because you're the one that
It's
did touch it.
lamastum. It's not lamastum.
Yeah, this
Lamastum, yes. We're in the same ayah of wudu.
There's alif, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
لمست. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Sorry, I wrote it wrong. Okay, so if you're the one doing the touching, it breaks your wudu. If you're being touched, it does not break the wudu. Also, if there's a barrier, it does not break the wudu. That means if you touch her through the clothing like this, stuff like this does not break the wudu. Stuff like this. Okay, either way, this is. Okay, sorry. We have like one more thing that we're gonna mention today. Okay. The last thing we're gonna talk about, I think. No, actually, two more things that we're gonna talk about, but they're gonna be very quick. You know how when somebody dies, I'm sure you don't know yet, but when somebody dies, we do ghusl for them. We shower them before we bury them.
That's
Okay.
that's the question.
So when you shower, when you're the one showering the person, say like a brother died, then I went and I showered him. Okay, does this break my wudu? Does this break my wudu? Okay, so there's
Also different opinions.
yes. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. I'm just gonna mention.
I remember, like I've heard from Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen that he said no, that it does not.
Okay,
So this is
that's his opinion.
is
Okay.
it- and also from Salih Al-Fawzan, different.
I'm gonna get
What
okay.
is ايش ثواني شوف بس ايش
تغسيل ميت if you want to wash.
If you wash
deceased,
somebody that is dead,
Yeah.
does it break your wudu?
doesn't
Ah,
break
okay.
the wudu.
Okay.
And there's also
I never watched the meat. So
there's also a way of washing. Maybe you're just holding the spray, and sometimes there are some people using their hands.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, one opinion says it does not break your wudu. Okay, one opinion. Sheikh Uthaymeen took the opinion, I guess. Does not break your wudu.
So
Okay.
probably it should be Hanbali, right?
What?
Should be Hanbali.
Wallah, I'm not sure.
You don't know? Okay.
I'm not sure on this one. Okay, does not break your wudu. Because even Zad al-Mustaqna is not every opinion they take is the well, I'm not gonna get too much into it. Khalas, okay? It does not break your wudu, okay? Either way. Opinion number 2. If you do ghusl on the dead, then you don't only need wudu, you need ghusl yourself. You need ghusl, okay? Opinion number 3 is you don't. If you make ghusl on the dead, it does not mean you need ghusl, but it makes you need wudu. Okay. Opinion number 1, I'm not gonna mention their proof because they don't really have one. They just say that the other proofs are all weak. Okay. So they say that all the other proofs for the first and second opinion are all weak, and if they're strong, then they might take an opinion, which is why they don't take. They say that no, this has nothing to do with anything. Okay. Opinion number 2, they use a bunch of hadiths. Most of them are mawquf, meaning hadiths that go back to Sahabas. Some of them are marfu', meaning goes back to the Prophet ﷺ. All of them are weak.
Or the more weak.
All of them are weak. Okay.
That's the opinion.
Actually, some of them are not weak, but the ulama explained that the word ghasal or ghusl in those hadiths is talking about normal washing. It's not talking about
Janaba.
It's not talking about the ghusl, the shari'i ghusl.
Yeah.
Meaning it's about wudu.
Also,
Right?
Yeah.
So those ones, it might use the word ghasal or ghusl or whatever, but it's not talking about the shari'i ghusl. Okay. but most of them are weak. Okay, but some are not. But the ones that are not, they're not even talking about ghusl. Okay. Then opinion number 3 is the only clear hadith on this that is authentic, and it's very clear about the situation. It's not like, okay, maybe this is about washing the dead, maybe this is this, that. No, it's authentic and it's clearly about a situation. It's mawquf, but it goes back to a sahabi that is grounded in knowledge. Okay? The reason why I'm mentioning Ibn Abbas. Okay? The reason why I'm mentioning the sahabi is grounded in knowledge, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in earlier lessons, I explained that if a sahabi is grounded in knowledge, meaning he's a sahabi that is known for their knowledge, and this sahabi is not only known for their knowledge, they're talking about an issue that is an important shari'i thing. It's an important shari'i issue. It has to do, this is very important because it has to do with, is your wudu even valid? Is your prayer going to be valid? So this is a very important issue. So when it's an important shari'i issue, and the sahabi is grounded in knowledge, even if the sahabi is the only one that said it authentically, we take it as authentic.
Yeah, as hujjah.
We take it as hujjah and we take it as a proof. Okay? So, I'm just going to be clear before I mention this. This is an asl. Okay? And this asl is important here. Okay? The opinion that it breaks your wudu but does not mean you need ghusl. So, okay.
اسمع خلينا نوقف الفيديو رد انت بس.
It's okay. Ata ibn Bah, okay, which is a tabi'i. It's a great tabi'i actually. He asked Ibn Abbas about the one giving ghusl to the dead. Okay, Ata ibn Bah asked Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu, which is a great sahabi that is grounded in knowledge. He asked him about the one giving ghusl for the dead. Should they make wudu? Should they perform wudu? Okay. No, he said, should they perform ghusl?
Ghusl, yeah.
So he asked him, so Ata ibn Abbas asked, Ata ibn Bah asked Ibn Abbas about the one giving ghusl to the dead, should they perform ghusl? Ibn Abbas said no, but they should perform wudu.
Okay.
Is this clear? He asked him about the one giving ghusl to the dead, should they perform ghusl? He said no, but they should perform wudu. So this is very clear, and this was recorded by Abd al-Razzaq in his Musannaf and al-Bayhaqi in Sunan al-Kabir, and he authenticated it. Al-Bayhaqi authenticated this hadith. So it's an authentic hadith, as reported, and it has the asl of, it goes back to a sahabi that grounded in knowledge. It's clear in its meaning, and it has to do with an important shari'i issue, so this should be used as a hujjah. This should be used as evidence, and it is, which is why the opinion that I take is this is the correct opinion. Okay?
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into the last thing. It's only 2 opinions, it's quick. Does eating camel meat break your wudu? You know the camel? Okay, does eating the camel meat, and notice I use the word meat.
Not drinking the...
No, because the lahm, is liver lahm? No. Liver is not lahm. I'm talking about linguistically, meat.
The meat.
Eating the camel meat.
The shaham and the duhun, the fat and these things also.
The hadith says camel meat.
So it's not the organs.
No, the camel meat. Does eating camel meat break your wudu? Opinion number 1 is the Hanafi, Maliki, and Shafi'i opinion, and they say it does not break your wudu.
Does not.
The Shafi'is, the Malikis, and the Hanafi say it does not break your wudu. Opinion number 2 is the Hanbali opinion, and they say it breaks the wudu. Okay? So the Hanafis, Malikis, and Shafi'is, they say there is no proof that camel meat breaks the wudu. That's number 1. They say there's no clear evidence. They also said and this they use as proof, that I'm not sure if you guys know, also you know how there's old rulings and new rulings. Right now I explain this to you. There's an old ruling that all of them took. There's an old ruling that eating the cooked meat breaks the wudu. It's authentic hadith, okay? But later on, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us that it no longer breaks the wudu, eating the cooked meat of any animal. Of any animal, it's an abrogated ruling. There's an old ruling that eating cooked meat breaks the wudu. Then later on, it became that it does not break your wudu. So they say that this hadith, yes, it's general, but it also includes the camel. To me, I think this is ajib. Like this is like where did you bring the camel in there? Yeah, why? You get what I'm trying to say? And now we get to opinion 2 and their proof, which is the Hanbali opinion and their proof. The hadith of Jabir ibn Samara, where a man came and asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do we make wudu from lahm al-ghanam, which is the sheep meat? Do we make wudu when we eat the meat of the sheep? A man came to the Prophet and asked him this. Okay, the Prophet said, if you want, like you know,
so it's not like
it's nothing, you know. Yeah. So he said, what about lahm al-ibil, the camel meat? Okay, the Prophet said yes, meaning the camel meat. Yes, you have to make wudu. Okay, where do you think this was reported? Sahih Muslim.
Wallah?
Yes. Okay, is there no proof about the camel?
That's so straight.
It's straightforward.
Yeah.
The sheep meat, no. The camel meat, yes. So why did they not make a distinction, the others, when it came to the hadith about the cooked meat? What does that have to do with the camel?
Exactly.
You understand what I'm trying to say? And this hadith is also supported by the hadith of Bara ibn Azim.
بعازل صح؟
Yeah. Which is recorded by Imam Ahmad and authenticated by Sheikh